Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today I'm going to do my review of AEW's Dynamite, Blood, and Guts. Starting off the evening, we'll go to our first match of the night. It is for the FTW Championship. It is Jungle Boy versus Hook. Before the match even gets started, Jungle Boy plays a vignette. First of all, his entrance music was playing for quite a while, and then eventually lights went out. Then they were playing a vignette. And it looks like Jungle Boy was out in the desert. It looked like he was actually burying his Jungle Boy character out in the desert. And it looks like Jungle Boy went from Jungle Boy to Jack Perry. The entrance music was... It's going to get a while for me to get used to the entrance music. I think he came out to like Beethoven or something like that. Didn't have his original gear on. But the match itself was a really good match. Back and forth matchup between Jack Perry and Hook, with Perry keeping the pace of the match. Hook then hits a T-bone suplex on Perry off the apron. Perry then gets up, hits a DDT off the apron on Hook. Perry then hits a low blow. Perry then grabs the FTW Championship. Ref is taken out. Perry then hits Hook with the title, pins for the 3. And your winner of the match and new FTW Champion is Jack Perry. Hats off to Jack Perry for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Britt Baker versus Kayla Sparks. I thought it was a good match, pretty much a glorified squash match. Baker was keeping the pace throughout the entire match, with Baker eventually hitting her signature lockjaw on Kayla Sparks. And your winner of the match is Britt Baker. Hats off to Britt Baker for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is the finals in the Tag Team Blind Eliminator Tournament. It is Daniel Garcia teaming up with Sammy Guevara versus Adam Cole and MJF. Before the match even gets started, Jericho comes out to the ring. He's on commentary throughout this match. The match itself was a really good matchup. Both teams kind of have a dance-off, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. Back and forth matchup, though. Guevara hits a double Spanish fly on Cole and MJF. Garcia then applies a Dragon Slayer, but the hold is broken. Cole then hits a Panama Sunrise on Garcia. MJF and Cole finally hit the double clothesline, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match are Adam Cole and MJF. After the match, FTR make their way down to the ring. FTR, MJF, and Cole get face-to-face. After that, Dax yells at the camera telling Tony Khan to play their music next time because they are the champions. But hats off to MJF and Adam Cole for getting the win in that match. And moving on to face FTR for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is the main event of AEW's Dynamite. It is the Blood and Guts matchup. It is the Golden Elite versus the Blackpool Combat Club. Number one, I thought it was a great match. Back and forth matchup between the Golden Elite and the Blackpool Combat Club. Kenny Omega and Claudio Castagnoli both start the match for the respective teams. Claudio lands multiple European uppercuts on Omega in the corner. Omega then gets up, hits a Hurricane Rana on Claudio. Pac is the next competitor in this matchup, as well as Adam Page. Page then hits a fallaway slam on Pac. Page then hits a moonsault off the top rope. Moxley is the next competitor in this match. Moxley then attacks Page with a fork. Page and Moxley then both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Moxley dumping out a bucket of glass. Nick Jackson is the next competitor. Nick hits a Hurricane Rana on Claudio into the glass. Absolutely brutal. Moxley and Claudio then send Omega into the glass, into the corner. Wheeler Yuta then is the next competitor, as well as Matt Jackson. Matt Jackson then hits a DDT on Yuta using a chair in the middle of the ring. Takeshita is the next competitor. Takeshita then hits Page with a chair shot. Moxley then pulls out a bed of nails from underneath the ring. Moxley then sends Omega into the bed of nails into the corner. Kota Ibushi is the final competitor in this matchup. Kota unloads strikes on Moxley. Kota then hits a Pele kick on Pac and Claudio. Kota then hits a standing moonsault on Moxley on the bed of nails. It looked absolutely brutal. Wheeler Yuta and Matt climb the cage. Yuta and Matt both exchange on the top of the cage. Matt then hits a Northern Light suplex on Yuta on the top of the cage. Moxley then hits a pile driver on Kota Ibushi in the middle of the ring. Pac then hits a foot stomp off the top of the cage on Nick Jackson through a table. It looked absolutely brutal. Pac then gets into a little skirmish with Claudio Castagnoli. He ends up flicking off the Blackpool Combat Club and then grabs bolt cutters, and then gets out of the cage and leaves the match. Don Callis then finally gets involved and tells Takeshita to leave the match as well. And it looks like it's a 3-on-2 matchup at that point. Paige and Matt Jackson choke out Wheeler Yuta. And your winners of the match are the Golden Elite. Hats off to the Golden Elite for getting the win in that matchup. A couple of things I want to say about AEW Dynamite's Blood and Guts event last night, man. Number one, it was a solid event from top to bottom. Hands down. A couple of things I took away from last night. Number one, before I even get into the Blood and Guts match, Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Am I all for his heel run? As of right now, no. It's going to be very hard to convince anybody that he's, a true heel. Not like MJF is. But with that being said, man, the vignette that was played before Jungle Boy actually came down to the ring, I thought was absolutely awesome. I thought it was awesome to have him out in the desert with a shovel and pretty much burying his own character. Getting rid of the Jungle Boy character and just wanting to be known as Jack Perry. The entrance music is definitely going to have to be something that I'm going to have to get used to. Him playing the Beethoven music. The music itself really doesn't fit the character, I believe, with Jack Perry. When he came out to that music, I thought he was a part of Gunther's Imperium. That's what it sounded like. Maybe the entrance music can be changed, maybe, because I feel like the music really doesn't fit the character, or fit Jack Perry. But all in all, man, I mean, do I like the direction they're going with Jack? Yeah, I think Jack Perry is definitely going to be a stable for AEW for a very, very long time. And he has a very high ceiling in AEW. I mean, I believe the FTW Championship was actually his first singles championship win last night. So obviously the FTW Championship is going to have a little tiny bit more lineage than what it's had, or what it's been known for the past couple years in AEW. But I look forward to what's going to happen next with Jack Perry, man. I mean, obviously I feel like the Jungle Boy storyline with Hook, or Jack Perry storyline with Hook, is far from over. This might lead into their next pay-per-view at All In, who knows, but I like the direction they're going with Jack Perry. It's going to be hard for me to get used to him being a heel, but all in all, man, I mean, again, he's going to be a lifer for AEW, in my honest opinion, and, for what it's worth, I mean, when he turned heel, man, I thought for one small second that he was going to join Christian and Luchasaurus and let bygones be bygones between, between Jungle Boy, or Jack Perry, if you will, and Luchasaurus. But that definitely is not the case, especially when the limousine pulled up in that vignette. I thought for sure maybe Christian Cage and Luchasaurus were just sitting there chilling in that limousine, waiting for Jack Perry just to enter the limousine and they ride off in that vignette. But that was not, that didn't happen. But again, hats off to Jack Perry for getting the win in that match and becoming the new FTW champion. The other thing I want to get into as well is the Tag Team Blind Eliminator Tournament, man. The stuff that MJF and Adam Cole have been doing for the past few weeks has been absolutely awesome. There was actually a vignette that was being played before their matchup where Adam Cole and MJF are at a Chinese restaurant. And I guess MJF has a problem eating hot food. And Adam Cole takes him out. I forgot the name of the restaurant. But they're sitting in the restaurant and, they're eating this chicken and stuff like that. And, obviously, I guess the chicken was too hot for MJF. And then they got, something to drink, and not knowing there was 100% alcohol. And they're both, pretty wasted. And then they're mocking this guy who's working in this restaurant, saying he looks like Daniel Garcia or looks like Sammy Guevara. The vignettes, man, have been absolutely awesome between MJF and Adam Cole, man. From them playing AEW's Fight Forever, them being in the gym. It was absolutely hilarious, man. The one thing I will say, though, was after what happened after the match, which Adam Cole had grabbed the AEW Championship to give to MJF, but Adam Cole looked at the belt, took a glance at it. MJF, obviously saw this, caught wind of it, and had shoved Adam Cole after he grabbed his belt back. So, and then after, Adam Cole was like, look, I'm just trying to give you the title back, everything else like that, relax, chill out. And Adam Cole goes to the corner to try to celebrate their win. You see MJF just looking on. It looks like he was mad. So it looks like the storyline's really not over from MJF and Adam Cole. And let's face facts, man. This whole thing with Adam Cole and MJF, I mean, is it going to last forever? No. Absolutely not. But is it something that I'm enjoying while it lasts? Yeah, man. I mean, seeing, Adam Cole and MJF in these vignettes and stuff like that, it's been absolutely hilarious. I mean, Adam Cole even gave MJF a jacket similar to Adam Cole's. Their music is combined now. It's absolutely hilarious, man. It's awesome to see. But I definitely think Adam Cole and MJF will have another match here for the AEW World Championship relatively soon. So, but all in all, hats off to Cole and MJF for getting the win in that match. And now, because they won that match, they will be facing the AEW Tag Team Champions FTR for those championships, man. It's going to be a great match coming down the pike here for FTR, man. It's going to be an absolutely awesome match. And obviously the main event, the Golden Elite versus the Blackpool Combat Club in the Blood and Guts matchup, man. This match is absolutely legendary since AEW has brought it into existence, man. The matches have been absolutely awesome, number one. Number two, the biggest thing I took away from this matchup is honestly the finish. And just kind of what happened in the match. Now, credit, like, for example, Claudio is the current Ring of Honor World Champion. And their pay-per-view is coming up here relatively soon. And Claudio didn't have a challenger. It was supposed to be Mark Briscoe, but unfortunately he got injured, I believe. So right now their backs were against the wall to find a challenger for Claudio's championship. And come to find out, it's going to be none other than Pac going up against Claudio for the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship, which I think is absolutely awesome. And that storyline was getting really pretty much played out during the Blood and Guts match when Claudio and Pac had an altercation, and Pac ended up grabbing bolt cutters, escaping the cage, and leaving the Blackpool Combat Club behind. So that's awesome to see Pac versus Claudio for the Ring of Honor World Championship. The other thing I want to get into as well is what's going to happen next, man. What's going to be? Is this the end all be all here? Is this the final between Blackpool Combat Club and the Golden Elite? I don't know. And my thing is this, man. Where do both these stables go? Where do the Young Bucks go? Do they, fit them back into the AEW Tag Team Championship fold again? Is Kenny Omega going to go after the AEW World Championship? What really happens after this? Now, it's the same thing with Kota Ibushi. I know a lot of people were like, oh, well, I hope he signs on for, he's going to come back and sign a long-term deal. As far as I know right now, Kota Ibushi came in last night as a one-off. I don't know if Kota's going to sign with AEW. I know he's kind of like a free agent right now. He's done some work for other companies. I know that, there has been talks about him returning to New Japan Pro Wrestling. I don't know. I know the one thing I do know about Kota Ibushi and what's been reported is that Kota Ibushi really wants to have his own wrestling school and really, train the younger talent coming up in professional wrestling, which I'm all for that, man. If the guy really wants to help out the younger talent and bring them up and he wants to have a gym or something like that to train this younger talent, I'm all for it. But what I will say is a talent like Kota Ibushi would have been a great addition to the roster of AEW. But the flip side of that coin is that AEW's roster, and I've said this multiple times already, even since Collision came into fruition, that the roster is bloated. And the roster needs to have a hard roster split. There needs to be half the roster on Collision and then the other half of the roster on Dynamite. A lot of that, a lot of talent still not being showcased on either show right now. I'm happy that Miro's getting an opportunity. I'm happy that he's back. I'm happy Andrade is getting an opportunity on Collision and getting into a primetime storyline with Malachi Black and the House of Black. I'm all for it. But there still needs to be a really hard roster split between Collision and Dynamite, in my honest opinion. But yeah, man, I mean, as far as AEW show last night, I mean, really the main event to me was like, okay, well, if this is the end, where do they go? Obviously AEW has, and I mentioned this multiple times already, man, AEW has this huge pay-per-view coming down the pike here in August for All In. At Wembley, I think they sold like 70 to 75,000 seats. Man, this show is going to be absolutely incredible. With that being said, you have to book really, really strong matches coming out the gate for All In. And right now, nothing's being booked, nothing's being played out. So I don't know what Tony Khan has up his sleeve for All In. But hopefully, the card speaks for itself, man, because that's a huge stadium show. And hopefully, we get primetime matches. What I do know is that I do believe Will Ospreay will be on that card. And that's been heavily rumored that he will be on that card, which I'm all for it, man. I mean, Ospreay had one hell of a match with Kenny Omega at the Forbidden Door. Fantastic matchup. Again, I know a lot of people were also mentioning that maybe after this match between the Golden Elite and the Blackpool Combat Club, we might finally get Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks against CM Punk and FTR. Would I love to see it? Absolutely. I think that storyline pretty much sells itself, stemming from the AEW's All Out media scrum that happened last year. Yeah, I think the story pretty much sells itself. It's probably one of the biggest storylines that's still not really presented on TV right now. That's just, hanging out in the mist. But if Tony Khan were to, pull that card and say, hey, yeah, we're going to run with this storyline between the Elite and CM Punk and FTR, All In would be definitely the event I would put this match up for. Absolutely. Because everybody wants to see that match, man. There's not anybody on this planet that doesn't want to see CM Punk teaming up with FTR versus Kenny Omega and the Elite. Everybody wants to see that matchup. And who knows if we get it at All In or not. But again, man, the biggest question is where do these two stables go from here? Especially the Blackpool Combat Club, man. I mean, Claudio has a match with Pac for his Ring of Honor World Championship. What happens next with Jon Moxley, Takeshita? Jericho is another question mark. Is Jericho actually going to join Don Callis and the Don Callis family? Or, Don Callis has also been saying that he wants to recruit more people to his family, his stable on AEW. Who knows, man? What happens next for Omega and the Young Bucks, Adam Page? Where do these guys go next? Is this the end all be all between the Golden Elite and the Blackpool Combat Club? But with that being said, this is my review of AEW's Dynamite Blood and Guts. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful. And remember, stay classic. Peace.